Welcome to the talk show Cohesion Policy, 30 Years of Success, Past and Future. As 2018 marks this anniversary, we are looking at the way cohesion policy has accompanied the evolution of the European Union over these past 3 decades. Being the EU's main tool to reduce disparities, this policy aims at promoting and supporting the overall development of EU member states and regions. It is targeting not only the EU's poorer countries, but also the poorer regions of the EU richer countries. All in all EU regions benefit from cohesion policy. Well, you might not hear the term cohesion policy that much on an everyday basis, right? But to get to the essence of it, think of how much you hear the term employment, and now think that cohesion policy has helped create at least 1 million jobs in the EU between 2007 and 2013, therefore throughout the crisis. And it is the same when you hear investment, research and innovation, infrastructure, broadband and even access to clean water. To open it, I'm very glad to invite to this stage European Commissioner for Regional Policy, Corina Crețu. Please. Hello. Please. Commissioner Crețu, why does Europe need this policy?
First of all, I think it's an historic moment for cohesion policy. It's a moment of celebration, and we would like to be very much aware about this solidarity in terms of financial means that you spoke about, and they are translated in projects, in social, economic, and I think it's a very strong political sign just before the adoption of the next budget for post-2020 to show that this policy, which is the most visible in the life of the people, should continue to help not only poor regions, as you said, but also rich regions. You know very well that they have still pockets of poverty, unemployment, so we have to be solidar. So thank you very much for inviting us, and thank you for all of you for being here.
Indeed, thank you to all of you for being here. I'm very glad now to join this debate and to get to the very essence of it. Portugal's Prime Minister António Costa, please. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Prime Minister, tell us about achievements of cohesion policy in Portugal.
Well,
it's very difficult to summarize 30 years of cohesion policy in Portugal in just 2 minutes. But that policy produced some very tangible results, like infant mortality. When we joined the European Union in 1986, our infant mortality rate was 20% above the European average, and today we stand below the European average for that matter. The economic differences between our richest and poorest regions was cut by 70%. And we had this structural educational deficit in our country, a deficit of training and technical skills. We've improved that, even during times of crisis and austerity. Between 2004 and 2016, we've managed to reduce the rates of early school dropouts from 35% to 12.6%. And the percentage of the population aged between 30 and 34 years old that have access to a college education went from 17.5% to 35% during that same period. This means that despite the many economic difficulties we went through, and despite the need to adapt to a new economic reality with the euro currency, with the enlargement of the EU, with globalization, cohesion policy has been crucial to transform Portugal into a more developed and more harmonious country.
Commissioner, Portugal is a very interesting example indeed, isn't it?
Yes, of course. I think it's a very good example also in the way Portugal used the European funds. One of my first visit when I became commissioner, it was in Portugal, because it was the only country who used all the funds 1 year before the ending of the program. So they are very good in spending, but in spending in high quality programs.
And I would like now to invite to the stage our special guest, President of the European Parliament, António Tajani. Please join us.
Buongiorno.
António. Tudo bem.
President Tajani, we've heard the example of Portugal just now, you heard it. What is the role of cohesion policy in building the EU as it is?
But the cohesion policy is crucial. It was crucial in the past, it's crucial today, it's crucial for the future. In the past, many countries with a lot of problems, thanks to the cohesion funds, worked very well in favor of European citizens. Also for many countries, new entry in Europe from the East, the cohesion funds has been crucial for its participation because the economic situation is crucial. If you want to be a protagonist in Brussels, we need to have behind a strong economic position. And thanks to the cohesion funds, many countries, new entry, are today the protagonists. But I want to be very clear. Cohesion fund is a symbol of solidarity. But solidarity is not also to use the solidarity. It's also to help the other countries when we need solidarity in these countries. When countries as Italy, as Germany, as Greece needs help on immigration, we need solidarity from the countries using the cohesion funds. We Italians, we pay a lot of money for the cohesion funds in other countries. And now we need solidarity on the refugees. It's unacceptable to have money coming from Italy, from Greece, from Germany, and to be against solidarity on the refugees. For this, cohesion funds is a flag of solidarity.
Mr. President, I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank you for the entire European Parliament for the support for cohesion policy. I think this solidarity should be two-way street. So I think it's very important to have in mind that if some countries would like to have more cohesion policy, more money for big infrastructure, they have to show solidarity also in times of need for the other countries. And I see cohesion policy as a cement that holds us together. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister.
I would like to make a comment regarding what Mr. Tajani just said. Cohesion policies are not just about economic reforms. They are deeply rooted in European fundamental values. Cohesion policies have allowed the European Union to reach cities, towns and streets in every part of our territory. Cohesion policies act as the strongest link between the European Union and its citizens.
On this moment, I would like to tell you that we have the video message from the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. Let's all take a look and we continue a discussion here on stage.
Dear friends, I'm sorry I cannot be with you today, but I can assure you that with Corina, you as well as European regions are in safe hands. 2018 is a landmark year for Europe's cohesion policy. And I say this for two reasons. Firstly, cohesion policy turns 30 this year. It's a time to celebrate its unique role. At its essence, cohesion policy is about making sure that the life chances in Europe are not dictated by a postcode lottery or by accident of birthplace. It is both about solidarity and equal opportunities for all Europeans. And in being so, it is a driver of our economy. It provides 8.5% of public investment in our union. From 2013 to 2020 alone, It will support 1.1 million small businesses. It will help more than 7 million people to find a job and almost 9 million people to gain new qualifications. But cohesion policy is not about millions and billions. It's about delivering for Europe's citizens where it counts, about making sure no one is left behind, about making a positive difference to people's lives right on their doorstep. But the second reason I say that this is a landmark year for cohesion policy is because we must decide on how a new European budget for the post-2020 period will develop. This is a highly political exercise and not an accounting one. It is about choosing what kind of Europe we want and equipping ourselves with the resources we need to build it. The budget must be ambitious, flexible, of course, and focus on areas where European funds can have real added value. That means that when it comes to regions, we must ask ourselves some tough questions. Do we want to maintain support for all countries and all regions? Or do we want to focus only in less developed regions or cohesion countries where needs are more acute? Such a shift may come cheaper, but in practice would mean that many regions in countries like Belgium, Denmark, France, Ireland, and elsewhere lose funding. Each option has a price tag and has implications for the overall European budget and for local economies and communities. These are the sort of questions you should be asking on your show, and I look forward to watching your discussion. But whichever way the debate goes, Europe's cohesion policy must continue to live up to its potential, as it has for the last 30 years. This is my firm belief and my unwavering commitment to all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So we've just heard from Jean-Claude Juncker, his belief and his commitment following the message, the future of cohesion policy.
He gave a very strong signal in favor of cohesion policy, but he was very direct in telling us how difficult situation it will be without our friends from the UK to do this trade-off. It will be very difficult trade-offs because we also have to choose what we would like to finance. We have new priorities, as President Tajani already mentioned, as migration, but also defense, European armament, cross-border control. These are areas until now European Union had no any attributions, and now we have to decide how to accommodate these new priorities into the EU budget post-2020.
President Tajani.
I totally agree with Commissioner Crețu on the political choice. The 2nd of May, the European Commission will present the next multi-financial framework. We need to decide the political goals. Of course, we need to work against illegal immigration, in favor of security inside and outside the European Union. We need to work against youth unemployment. If we want to stop the populism, we need to decide on these 3 most important political points. We need to use the money for achieving this goal. And the cohesion policy is an instrument for achieving this goal. For this, we need to put money for the cohesion policy. But we need to have also rules, because the cohesion policy is not cadeau. Moi, je crois dans la politique de cohésion.
It's not a gift. Personally, I believe in cohesion policy. We have to promote it. We have to support it. But we also have to say to those who receive money what they have to do. What are the political goals? Because it's not private money. It's the money of our fellow European citizens.
Before we move to the future and to the way to discuss it, Commissioner Crețu has invited her predecessors to define cohesion policy by referring to one major achievement and contribution to Europe, which this policy made during their time in office. Well, not everybody could be here with us today, unfortunately, but those who can be sent us their video messages. And the first message is coming from Monica Wolf-Mathies, who was EU Commissioner for Regional Policy from 1994 to 1999. Let's take a look.
One of it, for sure, was the 1999 Berlin summit, where member states agreed on the financial perspective for the following years. And what was most important for me was the fact that we were able to secure the structural funds as a powerful means to support economic and social cohesion, and that we managed to fight back the efforts of member states to reduce funding. And what's important as well is that we agreed on a reform of the structural funds, meaning, on the one hand, to concentrate all means on the poorest regions, and on the other hand, to phase out regions that had reached the average GDP, thereby showing that structural funding really was successful. And I hope that we'll continue in that way. And looking at this picture, Michel, I see you conducting the Berlin Millennium Symphony, and I hope that we both are able to secure structural funding for the future. Nice meeting you again.
Well, Michel Barnier, please, that's the moment for you to join. So, Commission in charge of regional policy and reform of European institutions 1999 to 2004, and later also in charge of the internal market and services from 2010 to 2014. Please share with us your experience.
It's not an obligation to speak English, huh?
No, no.
Just to give the proof that the culture...
You could speak in Portuguese also.
I think we have to give proof that the cultural diversity, which is the foundation of the cohesion policy, is still alive. So, I will switch to French. Il y a une phrase dont je me souviens.
There are some words I remember from the first United Nations climate change report in 1992, written by former Prime Minister Gro Harlem Brundtland from Norway, that said, "Think globally, act locally." Behind this beautiful policy, which is for me one of the most beautiful European policies, there is at the same time a global thinking and several local actions. During my mandate, I had to prepare the future budgetary prospects. I bring this up because, in the name of global thinking, I fought with all regional teams, for whom I am grateful, and the European Parliament, to safeguard regional policy. Because at the time, in this new millennium, there was a debate with economic reports that blamed regional policy, saying it was useless. In all regions, with the help of some associations like the Conference of Peripheral Maritime Regions of Europe and others, we came up with some ideas. And one of these ideas was to put some coherence between the future regional policy and the Lisbon Agenda. And we qualified regional policy. We decided to focus on big European issues. And that's how we saved the policy, with a simple idea from the bottom. For instance, I have one memory which is close to my current mission to manage Brexit wisely. This is the Peace Fund for Northern Ireland. My predecessor initiated this programme to encourage dialogue, peace and cooperation between North and South, between communities that have suffered terrible hostilities. What I have done is to start with the second generation of this peace programme, to put it in the mainstream European budget and save it. All my successors have continued until today. We can ask ourselves the question, with British people who want to leave the common market and the European Union, leave our policies, personally, I want the Peace Fund to continue as a tool. Why do I tell you this with some emotion? Because when I was Commissioner, my first visit was to Belfast. There I was very lucky to meet two figures who won the Nobel Peace Prize, John Hume and David Trimble. Both of them told me the same thing with the same words during my visit in two different places. They told me we all sit at the same table to establish peace, not thanks to London, Dublin or Belfast, it's because of Brussels. I have never forgotten those words.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And on this note, I would like to invite to the stage the next commissioner who followed Michel Barnier in 2004. I'm inviting on stage Danuta Hübner, European Commissioner for Regional Policy from 2004 to 2009.
Sorry, I have to leave because... But before I want to thank you, the Commissioner Crețu, because she helped my country after the terrible earthquake